Django. How to find your way in the code when you're hacking the Django framework. We will cover 3 concepts in this video. Armed with these concepts as maps, we will dive into the code in the next video. So don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss that one. Concept 1. Project. A Django project is more or less the same as a website. And if we look into the code, this is a directory with some files that contains configurations and settings for the entire website. Concept 2. The app. The app in Django represents some type of functionality used in your website. For instance, this could be user handling, logging in, logging out and creating accounts. Or it could be a dynamic menu that adapts to what the user is able to do at that time in the flow. A third example, that is just that it carries some type of business logic. And if we're diving into the code, the app is just another directory structure that carries all the files that's needed for this functionality. The files in this directory also follows the MTV code pattern. MTV? No, not the music videos. The code pattern. Concept 3. The MTV code pattern. The MTV code pattern that is used in Django has a more famous relative that looks kind of the same. That is the MVC code pattern, the module view controller. And in this code pattern we have the model, which carries the data and the connection to the database. We have the view that sets up how everything is presented and shown. And then we have the controller, which is the business logic, more or less. But Django is not using the MVC model. It is using the MTV, a quite close relative. In this case, we have a model which carries the data, template which carries how things are presented, and view in this model is carrying the business logic. So to navigate the code of a Django app, we're using the MTV code pattern. So diving deeper into this MTV code pattern, we start off with the model. This is everything connected to data. We have the connection to the database for creation, deletion, addition, change, and so on. We also have data validation. For instance, if we want to input an email, we can check that this email has a proper format. Or for the same thing like a URL, we can verify that we have a valid URL. Perhaps we want to have the data being an integer, and we can set that we want this integer to be between a mean and a max value, and so on. All these validations are done in the model. The model also handles if we have optional or mandatory values. And that is as far as we are going to use the model. The template, or the visuals. This is the part of the code that shows how everything is presented to the user. First, we talk about a specific template that gives how everything is presented in order, and then we have the CSS, which presents how everything is styled. This we call the template layer, and this gives the visuals. And finally, we have the view, or the business logic. This part of the Django application is handling all the events that comes from the browser or the user, however you choose to see it. Buttons, events and forms that are filled in and sent off to the backside. The view is using the other two layers, model and the view, to produce the results that we want, all to follow the flow of this application, and that is handled by the view. Using the MTV pattern, we know exactly where we should find each piece of code in our application inside our project. If you found this a good explanation, do give it a thumbs up so that others also will find it a good thing. Thank you. In the next video in this series, we will dive into code. We will use all these three concepts and implement a very easy but also very highly valued function, and much in demand right now. And maybe it's just the function you are looking for. See you in the next one.